What's going on, guys? My name is Noel Booker. Welcome back to my channel. So today, guys, after a small delay, I'm going to give you guys my review for The Suicide Squad. Right off the bat, I love this movie. I think it's a masterpiece. It's going to be quite honest with you guys. But I do want to dive into spoilers, so that will be my spoiler warning for the video. Like I said, I'm sorry for the delay. I was very sick last week, could not talk, and finally feeling up to it. So here we are. But before I get any further, maybe leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Because, guys, we are so close to 50 subscribers. I would love to reach that benchmark before the end of the year. But with all that out of the way, guys, let's go ahead and jump to my thoughts for The Suicide Squad. So right off the top, I want to give a major applause to James Gunn and his team. This movie is fantastic, and I think a lot of it does come down to James Gunn's directing and writing. I know some people are on the fence about James. Some people just straight out hate him. I get it, I understand, but just basing this on just his directing ability and writing, I thought this movie was fantastic. This is a huge win for DC, as well as Zack Snyder's Justice League. They've had two, in my opinion, enormous hits this year, alone with those two, and they're very different. They're very different movies, but they're also a lot alike. The ragtag teams coming together to take down evil, and I love those type of stories. But do I love this movie more than Zack Snyder's Justice League? No. I'll be straight up honest with you guys, right up top. No. This is the close second. As far as the DCEU movies go, it's in my top 5 for sure. I haven't really placed it just yet, but I've seen this movie 5 times, and I can tell you each time you pick up on something different, and that's just the attention to detail that James has. I think this movie definitely warrants multiple viewings, and I think that's the great thing about HBO Max. Although this movie did not do very well at the box office, and I'm very sad about that because I want this movie to succeed. I want to see more outlandish and one-off comic book movies. Because don't get me wrong, the MCU is great, but I mean, there's got to be a formula you kind of got to follow with the MCU. I mean, Kevin Feige's got a plan, and you got to kind of stick to it. As well for DC, I think what works better for them is that they just make these one-off movies until they figure their shit out. Management-wise, look, just make one-off movies. I personally still think Zack Snyder's universe is the way to go. I will stand on that mountain until the end of time. But for as far as these one-offs, like a Joker, like a Suicide Squad, these are my type of movies as well. They're unique, they're different. You can only get these characters in a DC movie, and I think that is a major drawing point for these for DC and for Warner Brothers. And I think James Gunn is the right guy for that. I'm hoping he comes back. He's talked about coming back for another project after Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So fingers crossed he does, because I cannot wait to see what other DC projects he can come up with. So piggybacking off of that, I definitely want to dive into characters next. And I think that is probably the second strongest aspect of the Suicide Squad is the characters. Look, from the very first trailer, we had a big roster of characters. I had every inkling of my body telling me that maybe 95% of these characters were not going to make it out alive. And spoiler alert, they didn't. If you go back and watch my old video, I was right about a lot of the characters that died. A few of them, not so much. But, that's a great thing about these movies. You don't know everything, and that's, you go in with a surprise. But right off the bat, Idris Elba's Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Polka Dot Man, King Shark, and Ratcatcher 2 are some of my favorite characters, as well as Milton. May he rest in peace. He was a huge part of the movie. Has got to give him a special shout out, and may he rest in peace. He did a great job on the team. But I think if I had to choose just 3, it would be King Shark, Ratcatcher, and Polka Dot Man, all in that order. I think those characters. Just coming from DC Comics background, King Shark being, a literal demigod, and how they would play with that in this movie, they did a very good job with that. I never for a second felt like he would die, because I feel like he's too strong, but there were a couple instances where I was like, okay, maybe James will go in that direction and kill this character, because it would be a great moment, because as I watched the movie for the first time, felt more and more attached to this character as we learned more about him and how lonely he actually was deep down. He just really wanted to be a part of something. Same goes with Ratcatcher 2. I said it in my trailer breakdown that I thought Ratcatcher 2 was going to be a fan favorite, and she was. The actress that played her knocked it out of the park. I think she's a great actress. I don't remember her name, but I do think great things are coming for her in the future, hopefully. And Sebastian, the little rat, I loved him as well. Never thought I would walk out of a DC movie thinking, you know what, the rat and the shark are my favorite characters. But, it is a James Gunn movie. So moving on, Idris Elba's Bloodsport, a great addition. Um, some people were worried he was just going to be a replacement for Will Smith. The character traits are very similar. I don't know if James Gunn was originally planning on having Will Smith return or this was just always the plan, but Idris Elba is fantastic, as he usually is. I would love to see him play James Bond. That's just a quick side note. I loved his character development, going from that hard ass to, at the very end, becoming the leader that the team needed. I thought that was very great. And piggybacking off of that, Peacemaker, John Cena's character. Look, I'll be straight up honest. I hated Peacemaker, but I think you were supposed to. He was goofy. He was dumb. I just didn't like him. But I think that was the main point. And I know we're getting a Peacemaker show in January, so I'm interested to see how that character will reflect in the show, because I do think it takes place after the events of the Suicide Squad. Spoiler alert, Idris Elba does shoot him in the neck, and it is believed that he is dead. But of course, in the post-credit scene, you find out he is in the ICU on a breathing tube, and they saved him, unfortunately, I guess. But hopefully, fingers crossed, they kind of make him an anti-hero and don't make us root for him too much. Moving on to Polka Dot Man, played by Dave. I don't remember his last name. I don't want to butcher it. But the guy's been in Dark Knight, Ant-Man and the Wasp, a bunch of other little projects. He is great in this movie, Polka Dot Man. I loved him. I loved his backstory. They delved into it a little bit with his mother, but not too much. But I hope that does open the door for a sequel, that we could get his brother, the Condiment King, which I think is just an even dumber character than Polka Dot Man. They actually made Polka Dot Man cool in this movie with his powers, his interdimensional polka dots. So hats off to James again for that. But like I said, just these great characters. And I think that is all on the writing. I think every character in this movie was given a place to shine, and I think that does further the experience for people. So without a doubt, characters are such a strong point in this movie. So another big plus for me was actually the villain of Starro. I can't believe we live in a world where I've got to see Darkseid and Starro in the same year in DC movies, live action at least. I thought Starro was a character we would never see. He's very out there, and he is more of a Justice League villain. But hey, that's the great thing about the Suicide Squad. You can take some crazy ass left field characters, throw them in there, and it works. I thought he was a great villain. I actually fell for Starro near the end. I actually felt bad for him because he did say he was happy just floating in space looking at the stars. He really didn't want to come to Earth and take over. But of course, the astronauts brought him back and started doing lab testing. So of course it angered him. So I did kind of feel bad for him in that aspect. But like I said, it's amazing that we live in a day and age where we have not just Darkseid but even Starro on the big screen, and that's a huge win for DC in my opinion. So before I actually end this review, I do want to take a minute to maybe think about some ideas for a second Suicide Squad, or I guess technically a third Suicide Squad movie. But I do think a sequel is warranted, and there's a couple directions they could actually take, and as well as I have some characters I would actually like to see show up in the next one. I would actually think a good idea for the next Suicide Squad would be Amanda Waller wanting to get revenge on the team for breaking out, and getting away from her. So she sends in a whole new team to take them down, and you could kind of have a Judas Contract type of storyline where you have the two Suicide Squads going up against each other. Another version you could do is, of course, Brainiac coming down and taking over the Justice League. I think that would be very interesting. Don't know how you would do that in a rated R Suicide Squad movie with taking the Justice League members, but hey, if James Gunn is up for the task, I think he could do it. Also, if in my opinion, they want to connect this into the Snyderverse, have the Suicide Squad go on a mission to retrieve the mother box for Batman, and we see them tie into that at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think those are all three great options. As far as some upcoming characters I would like to see, I think they should throw Deathstroke back into it. I know James had originally had Deathstroke on his team in a bunch of early concept. I think Deathstroke is such a fantastic character, and I would love to see him in live action again and actually be used in a film. Another like a character I said earlier was Condiment King. He is actually related to Polka Dot Man. I would love to see him in live action. I think if you could do Polka Dot Man justice, you could take a character as dumb as Condiment King and make him fantastic. Another character is The Question. He's a very big DC anti-hero, kind of like Rorschach. I think he would be great in this type of scenario. I think it'd be cool to see him in live action and maybe see how a detective would be good on the Justice League. I'm sorry, the Suicide Squad. Finally, totally off the wall character, Batmite. I think Batmite is probably one of the most useless characters in DC Comics, but I think James Gunn could definitely find a use for him. If not, just have him in the first 10 minutes of the next one and kill him off. I think, why not just go and bottom of the barrel and pick up some crazy characters for next time, in my opinion. But those are just some of the characters and ideas I would have for a Suicide Squad sequel. So, guys, if you haven't seen this movie already, please give it a chance. I think this is one of DC's best movies in a long time. Definitely in my top 5 in the DCEU. But, guys, I can't say anything else I haven't already said. This movie's fantastic. Go out and check it out. Whether if you can go see it in the theater safely or if you have HBO Max, definitely give it a chance. Definitely worth your time. But guys, that's all I have for you today, guys. I have more content coming, hopefully. Venom, I know Venom 2 got pushed back, but I will still have a review for that, as well as Halloween coming in October. So we're going to have some busy months coming up. But like I said, maybe leave a like, a comment, and subscribe, because we are on the road to 50 subscribers. Almost there. Fingers crossed we get there before the end of the year. But guys, like I said, please be good people. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.